let us right away start our revision on Christian evidences. Okay, let's start with the introductory part, that is lesson 1. So, from the first question, what is meant by Christian evidence? There are two answers, of course. Christian evidence is the scientific proof of the divine authority of the Christian religion. In Christian apologetics, is a scientific vindication of the divine authority of the Christian religion. It is more or less the same, but a slight difference is there in the wording. So those two definitions will be important. What is meant by Christian evidence and what is meant by Christian apologetics. And also there are three types of facts from which we can believe any claim. Number 1 is material fact. Number 2, supernatural fact. Number 3, experimental fact, which can be experimented. In the last paragraph, what are the purpose of studying Christian evidence? What are the purpose of studying Christian evidence? To present facts which sustain Christian faith. We are presenting a facts which will sustain Christian faith. Number 2 purpose, acts as a powerful weapon for not only silencing the attacks upon the faith, but for the positive evangelistic presentation of the gospel. The purpose of studying Christian evidence. Number 3, to remove the prejudice against the gospel. So those three are the purpose of studying Christian evidences. And turning on the page, three important memory verses or Bible verse to be learned. The first one is Philippians chapter 1 verse 17, in which Paul had said, I am set to do the defense of the gospel. I am set to do the defense of the gospel. Paul said to himself that I am to do the defense of the gospel. That we Christians are a defender. All Christians will be a defender of our faith. So as Paul had said, we should also be able to say that I am to do the defense of the gospel. Philippians chapter 1 verse 17. And here among the headings, especially Roman number 2 heading, what are the three things that are required of Christian in his relation to those who are questioning his faith? What are the three things to remember when people start questioning our faith? The first one is to be able to make a defense, or to be able to give an answer to what we believe. The second point, the answer to be made with a genuine spirit of earnestness and concern. We have to answer with earnesty. Number 3, to respect God's dignity and authority. To respect God's dignity and authority. So here we have to give one Bible verse, that is 1 Peter 3:15. 1 Peter 3:15. We should be able to answer whatever question has been put upon us. That question should be answered with a great concern. At the same time, we have to respect God's dignity and authority while answering, while defending our faith. So those three are the points. You don't have to necessarily write down all the wording there, but those 3 points will suffice the question. In Roman number 4, we'll see biblical basis for Christians and apologists. The definition has been written again once more. The biblical basis, the background. Why should Christians defend our faith? Okay. Because God Himself also defends what He said. God vindicates His way with man. Even God defends His words. Jesus Christ also defends Himself from the false claim of the people, from the false accusations of the people. And even Paul also defends his faith when being encountered wrongly. At Thessalonica, Corinth, Ephesus, before Felix. And here one Bible verse you have to remember, the very short Bible verse, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. This is the third Bible verse to be remembered. 1 Thessalonians 5:21, what does it say? Prove all things. That itself is the verse. Prove all things. That is one Bible verse. It is the shortest Bible verse in our local dialect. Okay? John 11:35, which says Yeshua kapta. But here it says Bangkimenchian. That might be shorter in our local dialect. But in English, John 11:35 is the shortest. Jesus wept. So in this point, the biblical basis for Christian as a defender of our faith is, we have example. God Himself defended His way. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, also defended Himself. And also did Paul defend what he says. And if being asked here from this part in a 2 marks question, in which 2 books of the Bible, which 2 books of the Bible clearly shows that God vindicates His way with man? The answer would be the book of Isaiah and the book of Job. Those 2 books clearly express how God vindicates His ways with man. Remember those 2 books. So let us just read the conclusion for the first lesson. Reasonable ground for Christians and apologists. Why should Christian need to defend his faith, his or her faith? Let us read. Christian faith is not blind credulity. Christian faith is not a blind faith. It rests upon uncontroverted testimony. Uncontroverted testimony. We should not simply believe whatever we hear. We have to prove it. In order to believe Christianity, in order to believe the faith of Christianity, we do not have to commit intellectual suicide in order to have faith. People may accuse us that we are being brainwashed. It is not so. It is not necessary to commit intellectual suicide for believing. We first have to convince ourselves, not being forced, not being brainwashed. We can convince ourselves to believe our faith. So God requires a strong faith, not just a blind faith. So believing in Christianity should be a true faith. So now comes the second lesson. Here are a few extra lessons, extra copy after classes. Some of you can get those notes. Okay, lesson 2. Lesson 2 is about testimony of divine existence. In order to defend our Christian faith, we have to believe that God exists without any ounce of doubt. We have to believe from our heart the existence of God, the divine existence. So here, Christian theism and natural theism definition is there. It's good to learn them by heart. Christian theism is the doctrine of God as an immanent, transcendent, personal being. Okay. Christian belief God as an immanent, transcendent, personal being. Immanent, transcendent, as well as personal being. We should be able to address God as a person, as our Father who art in heaven, as a Father, okay? We can have a good relationship with God the Father. And natural theism, the scientific existence and character of God in the light of nature and reason. Through nature and through our reasoning power also, we can testify the existence of divinity, the existence of God. That is through in the light of nature and reason. That is called natural theism. The Bible does not necessarily arguments for the existence of God. It treats that God is already there. Here, one Bible verse you have to remember, Psalm 19:1, which says, "The heavens declare His glory." The heavens declare the glory of God. Psalm 19. It's a very important verse. The heavens declare the glory of God. And here the first point discussed is universal religious instinct. The existence of God can be clearly seen in these 3 points, that is, man all over the world and throughout all ages believe in some form of God, some form of deity. So they are engaged in one way or the other in acts of worship and devotion. Man is a religious being. This religious principle is found in all nations, in all history, and also human heart always had a craving for God, craving for God. There may be exceptions in some individuals, but the exceptions do not invalidate the rule. Every human being have their own consign, which clearly guides, which clearly told them that there is God. There is a powerful being which controls them. So that religious instinct was present in men. It is up to us whether to accept that instinct or not. But there will come a point when we will be forced to accept that instinct. So the argument of existence of God, here the first point is cosmological argument. Cosmology means the science of universe. The science or and how does this cosmological argument argue for the existence of God? That the cosmos is an effect produced by a primal cause, from the nature of the case, must be a person. From this cosmological argument, in order the universe to come into existence, there has to be a primary cause. And that primary cause should be a person, should not be just a non-living object. And non-living objects doesn't have any power. So in order the universe to come into existence, there has to be a cause, a first cause. That first cause should be a person who have great intelligence. Otherwise, nothing can come into being. That is the first argument. And another argument is not out of nothing comes nothing. Okay? Underline that. Another argument is that out of nothing comes nothing. Therefore, something should be always was. Therefore, something should always be there from the beginning. And that something which was in eternity should necessarily be an intelligence being. Intelligence being. Should be a person who could think, who could create, who could manipulate all creation. So those two are the forceful argument in cosmological argument. There has to be a cause for the universe to come into existence. That cause should be a person. And out of nothing and comes nothing. So something should be already in eternity. And what should that be? It should necessarily be God Himself. Otherwise, non-living beings will not be able to create or cause anything into existence. Then, teleological argument. What is meant by teleology? Teleology is the branch of cosmology that treats the final cause. What should be the end of things? In other words, there is an end or purpose in the way things are made. Teleology is the branch of cosmology that treats of final cause. Final cause means if you saw a chair, if you saw a table here in front of you, you have to conclude that necessarily that there should be a creator. There should be a one who made this table. And everything has a purpose. Nothing exists without purpose. Everything exists with a purpose. There is an end or purpose in the way things are made. From the smallest atom to the unfathomable universe, there is a design. A design was there. That design demands a designer. And the planets in accuracy of time. All the planets move. All the stars move in their own orbit in a mathematical accuracy. That should mean that there should be a great mathematician who had done all those calculations where planets will not collide each other, where all planets and all the heavenly objects should move in their own orbit without any disturbance, with a mathematical accuracy. Evaporation, precipitation, and the operation of intelligent law. If there is a natural law about evaporation, there will be a one who made that natural law. that natural law was already there. It's the law of nature, which human technology could not change. Vegetation, animals to man, it's a design for the other and for a purpose. Every living creature has a purpose in this earth. Though you may not learn the purpose of the earth, the purpose of the earth's survival, though you may not know, but it still has a purpose. Example, earthworm. What is the purpose of creating earthworm? To make the earth for us, for vegetation, so to say. Even a snake will have a purpose. Even the ants, even the mosquito, which we hate very much, will also have a purpose. So every living creature, great or small, will have a purpose. Even the bacteria, even the virus also has their own purposes, which can be put into good use. There is nothing purposeless in this earth. God gave a purpose for its creation, great or small. Instinct of spider, bees, the wasp, dove, birds, animals, when it comes. Every living creature has a purpose, have their own instinct. For example, the simplest one cell amoeba, so to say amoeba, the simplest cell, one cell amoeba. Inside that amoeba, the smallest cell, one cell animal, so to say, one cell animal, amoeba. Even in that smallest cell, inside that, there will be a reproduction system, digestion system will be there, and all the necessary organs are still there inside that cell. So everything has a purpose. So those purpose and those instincts could not just come out of chemical combinations. A blind force will not be able to give those animal instinct. Animals have their own instinct. Even the smallest insect have their own instinct. So all those instincts will not simply come out of evolutionary process. There will be someone who gave those instincts to them, who gave those wisdom to them. So we have seen a design in every creations, living things or living beings. We have seen a design. There is always a design in everything. So there will be it is clear that there will be intelligent designer for all things, for all created things. Okay, those are the things you have to remember from teleological argument. And now the third one, this can come in a essay type. Why we believe in God? Okay, why do we believe in God? It can carry 5 marks. We believe in God because atheism, the only alternative, cannot be proved. If you don't believe in God, the only option is that you should become an atheist. But actually it is very difficult to become an atheist. You will have to cross your mind in many matters if you want to become an atheist. Ulo pipia, naging tanaw di, pampiyon di. If you want to become an atheist, it is not either an easy task. Actually, it is more easy to believe in God than to force ourselves to not believing in God. We believe in God because it is reasonable to believe that eternal existence is God, not matter. It is more reasonable, it is more wise to believe that God exists in eternity, rather than believing that matter, non-living things, exist in eternity. It is more reasonable to believe that eternal existence is God, not just a stone. Number 3, we believe in God because the universe exhibits marks of intelligent causation. Causation. There will be a cause, intelligent cause, for all created things. Intelligent cause should always be there. Without that causation, nothing can come into being. If we have seen a building, there will be a builder. If we have seen a car, there will be a manufacturer. Likewise, if we have seen all these veins running in our body, if all the veins are being taken out. Last time, one of my in-laws had a open heart surgery, okay? He had an open heart surgery in Delhi. And how do they perform the surgery? They took out the veins, the big veins here, okay? They cut the hands here, they took out the big veins and replaced the obstructed veins here. And also from the leg also, they cut off the leg, took out the veins and replaced the obstructed veins in the heart. So likewise, if all our veins, blood vessels are being taken out and being lined up one after another, it will be longer than even the longest river of the earth. Okay, it will be longer. If all our spinal cords, if all our nerves are being taken out and being joined together, it will be longer than all the electrical wires found in the tongue. So such is the complexity of human organ or human system. So we wonder, even if we don't see the maker of all this electrical system of the town, it is far more simpler compared to God's creation upon our body. So if all these simple things which you have seen daily should necessarily have a maker, this complex system needs a maker. Number 4, we believe in God because the moral government of the world implies a moral governor. Moral government. We all have our morality all over the world. Whether a believer or non-believer, they'll have a morality. Even the atheists will not support stealing. Even the atheists will not propagate killing each other. Okay? Though they are atheists, they still know what is good and what is bad. So that morality governs human. So if there is no God, there can be no right, there can be no wrong. If there is no God, there will be no good, there will be no bad. So the existence of good and bad, the existence of right and wrong, clearly shows there is a moral governor who governs our morality. That is God. Number 5, we believe in God because atheism has inseparable difficulties of its own. Atheism has inseparable, unexpressible difficulty of its own. Unexpressible difficulty of its own. So why there are many suicides among the well-educated, among the famous celebrities? Why are there many suicide cases? The reason behind is that when they doesn't have God, when God cannot fulfill their inner needs, which the people cannot give, they become very lonely or empty. When that emptiness cannot be filled by anyone, their only option is to take their life with the hope of resting in peace. This is their only hope. So atheism has a lot of difficulties on its own. In this uncertain world, we cannot always be success. Things cannot come always as we wish. So in those times of despair, when we don't have any hope, the Christian will still believe in God. The Christian can run to God in the last option. But the atheist doesn't have nowhere to run. So their only last option is death, killing themselves. Number 6, we believe in God because of abundance of evidence. So then, one more point. Why you believe in God? Why you believe the Bible? All these points are being discussed in the later part of the lessons, but here, a few points are given here. I want to believe the Bible because it is that I live after death. Okay, no other book, no other religious book taught that we can live after death. No other book taught that. So if you want to have hope after life, the only hope you can gain is from the Bible. Number 2, I want to believe the Bible because I want to go to a better home than this. There is always a better place. Scientists are searching for a better planet to live from this polluted world to another planet, but they won't find. And the only possibility of living in a new earth and new heavens is believing the Bible. The Bible taught that there will be a new earth and a new heavens. Number 3, I want to believe the Bible because I want to meet my friends who have gone before. If you happen to lose your loved and dear ones, if you want to meet them again, you believe the Bible. That will give you the strength to move on with the hope that you'll meet them again one day. Number 4, I want to believe the Bible because I have always been taught that it is the truth. It was taught by the very educated, by the very famous people who had walked the earth, who had walked on the earth. If only the weak, if only the illiterate, if only the poor believe Christianity, we can have doubt. But the wisest man, the richest man, the most educated person, the most famous persons already believe in the Bible. So if they can believe the Bible, why should not we? Those are the points why we have to believe why we want to believe the Bible. So keep in mind those points. Number 3. Those who want to go to school can take their leave now. Number 3, the purity of ethics. The purity of ethics. Ethics are divided into 2 parts: the general ethics and Christian ethics. General ethics, the science of right and wrong in principle, character, and conduct. Christian ethics is the science of right and wrong in the light of Christian teaching. Christian teaching. Christian teaching sa ngato kitwa ka dikla-diklo. Ina Christian ethics ni. General ethics well, science of right and wrong in principle, character, and conduct. As ethics ay dikha in principle, character, and conduct ako yung mamahi. Not just the outward act, but the inner motive, the inner thoughts, the inner motive is important in ethics. One point you have to remember, Matthew 5:8, who shall see God? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And also Proverbs 23:7. These are the common Bible verse. Proverbs 23:7. What a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Your heart is the real man. What your heart thinks you are, that is what you are. Means that you may be a good person outwardly, but if your heart is not good, if your inner man is not good, you cannot be a good person in the sight of God. So in the Bible, clear moral distinction is drawn. And one question which can come, what is always commanded and what is always commended? And what is always commanded and what is always condemned? Righteousness is everywhere commanded and sin is always condemned. That can be seen in creation. Okay, in the time of creation, the existence of good and evil in the midst of the garden shows that there is a clear moral distinction. No, clear moral distinction on creation of the flood and the history of nations on Creation no. Adam and Eve are commanded not to eat the tree of knowledge of good and evil. At the time of flood, God destroyed the earth because of excessive wickedness. The only reason why God flooded the whole earth is because of excessive wickedness. And the nations, many nations are being destroyed. Many nations are being destroyed. Bodies are destroyed because their iniquities, because their iniquity level has crossed of God's mark. Whatever nations it is, God destroyed them. There's a clear moral distinction of it. Creation, flood, nations, history of nations. In number the specific which three portions of the Bible demands a high moral standard? Which three portions of the Bible express the need of high moral standards? Number 1, the 10 Commandments. Number 2, the Psalms. Number 3, the Sermon on the Mount. The 10 Commandments followed by exceeding high court of laws. The Psalms covering nearly the whole history. The Psalms about ethical teachings. The Psalms about ethical teachings. The Sermon on the Mount is unsurpassed for ethical render. Adem zo lo kun kana. Tinai chot. Ete ka trina solution tong pai dinga. Awana, what is always demanded? Come on, demanded. Come on. Inner purity, not merely outward ceremony, is always demanded. Inner purity, not merely outward ceremonial morality. Not merely ceremonial morality is always demanded. No. Aki demand di inner purity inner purity is always demanded. The ritual sacrifice why? Why God is not pleased with the Old Testament sacrificial system? Because it was performed as a ceremony. When ritual began to take the place of holiness and righteousness of conduct, it was condemned by the prophet. No. Ritual kichikong, ceremonial kichikong, awat lilhiya, lungtama, bang maatelong siya nga kay Thilo. The teaching of the Bible demanded inner purity, not mere ritual. No, what is always demanded is inner purity is always demanded throughout the Bible. And objection kichika, think for them hoya. Median Bible adim now, I think to kisayamon. Banjaka pathelina, why does God allow all the Amaleks to be killed? The reason is that they are very corrupted nations. They are very cruel nations. They are not fit to live on this earth. For that reason, God had so destroyed them all. David, a man after my own heart, a man after my heart, was given that God punished him. God even punished his best friend when they sin. No. David ang ko na pen pat na di lo iso no. Moral wiki pat hede na naktaka promote echi na iso ay story ka. Polygamy dele pat hena de pen kia akam ke chi thoi mo kumya le. Concubines te kongka, slavery system te kongka. Ethics to kitwag lo ke mo, why they have controls and the slave ni go di Bible again tia. Slave ni ilele. It taka lo taka bol di chitu mo. Why ja kala sin thona til katang taka kham lo. Hanga. Ethics to kitwag lo. Morality to kitwag lo pa pa lo mo le. What does Christ's philosophy calls for? Ito namdinga adon na kabang le. Christ's philosophy calls for the love of God, which if practiced with menace, worldliness, idolatry, blasphemy, profaning, covetousness, such like. Number 2, it calls for the love of another, the love of one another, which if practiced would eradicate jealousy, division, factions, murder, fornication, adultery, theft, enmity, war, and such like. Philosophy of Christ calls for only 2 things: love of God, love of one another. If we love God with all our heart, and if we love one another in the true spirit of love, the world will be a paradise. No. Leitung ka paradise pati bang lejo no pidan mo. Kaya Jesus Christ philosophy. Kaya ni ang kasusulan le. The world will become a better place. They are the model of heaven. No. If we just stick to these 2 philosophy of Christ, okay? Abang ka. Bago contrast of GPN, again, kaya nga, subject to lesson ng light siya naman. Let's go to the population. Inspirations of the Bible. I figure take out 18 haya. 49 Old Testament, 29, 27 New Testament. 1,600 years span, over 40 generations, about approximately 40 writers. No? Kaya lasin kong writers nila kaka song din yung kitchen na kaya mong isong lasin kong isong yung tigil siya Moses, Peter, Moses, Nehemiah, Daniel, Luke, Solomon, Matthew, Paul. Ano? Writers din yung example. Amo bilang ko siya na mo. Title, profession ko siya na again. In different place, in different times, different moods, on 3 continents, in 3 languages. What are they? Everywhere I mean Greek. No, hate has. Unity of the Bible. No, last lesson I learned again. No, last lesson I can explain. No, unity of the Bible explain to you. Explain to you whether from this lesson 4 or from the last lesson. Come on. How can you prove the Bible is the word of God from its unity? It's the name. Come on. I think how can me have that idea from here that idea. He can't get our life. This can be combined together as one book. Conclusion ha, yet there is harmony and continuity. No, yet there is harmony and continuity. Harmony, continuity. The Bible is the product of God's creation. What is the reason for unity? The writers were all moved by the same Spirit. All the writers were being guided by the same God, by the same Spirit. Imagine mo. And about number 2, reliability of the Bible manuscript. Bible manuscript, they have no lang kalami hindi nga. I get now to about not one. If I should the Bible, in the question of holy church, he had a series in the main points in the name. Old Testament, no, text of Old Testament, the text from the Kabbalah, now, 5 doesn't let. history the Bible lem by ding ha to ya ni to phag ka Old Testament imu thina dekha Masoretic text taken 900 AD koma again mo Hebrew power again teu khale ki mulaya Dead Sea Scroll ale ka thun we ki muthia abana Greek translation of the Hebrew Septuagint ale ka muthia thukun we tura thukun li original thukun li masa pen pen ke jong le le thun Masoretic text te ya Dead Sea Scroll ya Septuagint ten le je mai ka midang la ya ki de mo and New Testament manuscript mo thina te kha Codex Sinaiticus Alexandrinus Vaticanus mo ai kha New Testament manuscript complete New Testament manuscript na mo le kha Sinaiticus Alexandrinus Vaticanus te kan le chen mo thoi hoi ba na kha number 5 in the number 5 other translation of the manuscript Paudam da male Bible ki moi nidang la ya ki mo Syriac Coptic Armenian Gothic Latin will get about 8,000 lang lang mo kasi ka ilaisan to kile kya na kena kibu tule manuscript tama malahe china ile number 4 kaya kung jo pa din ha number 5 the Bible and Times Kaya kaalong pinakong din nga which 5 or which 10 which 5 scientific discovery which discovery of science was foretold in the Bible it's a scientist then a discovery in scientific principle it's a scientific discovery Bible kum sang khat sang ni sang kum ma ana ki gel sa te bang bang ya chut naam le mo hete la kanong na salek dewa it's another scientific principle pen already in the first verse of the Bible the earth is round was already given in Proverbs 28:27. The Bible talk na get mo. Guys, ang totoo na mali itong room area sinane. Isaiah 40:22 yan. Nakapoint sa nila mo. God is not supported sinaka. Zot ko na sa source. It starts out the earth according to space. Mamati tayo kita no. About scenography to say ka Poi mama, no, ocean current silang ha, poi full page na material kamo ang pesa na ka. Ocean current. Psalm 8 verse 8 say, all that swim the path of the sea. That has led to the discovery of ocean routes. Jimmy mo. Number 3 ba point na ta nalago tule. Psalm number 8 verse 8 at toki mama tinga. In the field of medicine na ka, may tampiyon nito mo medicine dinaka the life of the flesh is in the blood Leviticus 17 verse 11 for it is the life of the whole flesh the blood of it restore the life thereof si sanahin naum chika Leviticus 17 Bible verse chamla tikyo dia Bible tawong bet na gitu for it is the life of the flesh ha scientist ten ha si sanom lo wa ha hin nam lo chika tik ma mai re si san ka i ha na bit thing je si san na oxygen te je kai chu ma le ha bit ka si san na oxygen te je kai chu i lang sa ki breathing na i brain function te na si san na brain na si san lut alut de za lut ke le si the me ma si san supply abole Because there is life in the blood, chikat gen sa. Astronomy रे tampiyon din the stars are innumerable chikang ma. The stars are innumerable chikang by ampere. until empty space in the north. Job 26 7 ha. Then now to support it like here community so point from the thing you know yeah. Empty space of Bible chant they have the Bible chant from san no. Universe is the game they have some all matters completed at universe origin. Astronomy, all matters energy completed at universe origin. Come on. Scientists and the scientists previously believed in spontaneous creation. Spontaneous creation is so universe coming to being slowly, modified. But it is not so. Scientists and universe is coming to being at once. Khát về thua khát universe cái gì khát, asal kita lonteng khát về thua pat ngahi. Otherwise, that equilibrium cannot come into existence. Equilibrium cái gì mà? Thế khát yom dia boleh ông dia pam dia tu khát. Kau jangan nak ông dia kiri khát. All will be collided. Amau gravitational pull form kita form dekat sana mà. Khát về niềng chỉ khát allocation trên khép sẽ tiền khát adam tiếng lệ chỉ khát like của việc thì đúng không? Bây giờ cả the universe all matters and energy completed at universe origin. Law of thermodynamics bangat dian. Nothing was created or destroyed. It is just being transferred from one form to another. That's it. Come on. Kobela kisiam tu ngapan. Nothing is lost. Nothing is created new. Nothing is lost. So scientists can prove it. Law of thermodynamics prove that. Nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. It is just converted from one energy to another energy. Some energy can be converted into electrical energy through microphone, through a soundbox. That light energy. Microphone electric gui la light pai dei pai light pai pen kha speaker kha sound energy di convert no me mo mojaran ti le lai he lai pen hal tum len kha na be sa mo le tu ma be sa be no yo he lai pen hal tum len kha some of these vapor will convert into heat energy, some of it convert into smoke carbon, and some will convert into ashes small black carbon here ASEAN convert đi cái adik dan amas pe ha after cả thì hôm này ông lên ông ăn toàn rồi no chỉ đã này chỉ hay law of thermodynamics bây giờ cả có vẻ là các phát hiện là ASEAN sa tỉnh lên ông mày các cái xiêm về nhám các cái bộ việc chuyện này cũng thấy toàn rồi no. Number 6, evidence for God from the prophets. Evidence for God from the prophets. The Bible taught us many prophecies which was fulfilled satisfactorily. Only God could foretell history. Only God foretell the future. No, only God could foretell the future. So if all those prophecy was fulfilled in details, that shows that there is God. Because only God will be able to foretell the future. It is not just one or two prophecies. For example, in these modern days, people may have their educated guess, Z-E-W-S, guess. I guess there will be rain tomorrow. There can be rain. No. There will be a war after these 2 years. No. It can also still come into being. But it doesn't mean that you are a prophet. Because those are just the lucky guess. No. I like to talk as a gentleman on page. Nang concern na nga siling na hit walk lang ha na dik kami mo. Kat exactly follow. What did I take a prophecy to the Bible prophecy is different from others prophecy. Kum zatampi maybe hundreds of years, thousands of years, which God can foretell the future. Genesis chapter 3 verse 15 foretell the cross. No. No may so na God so na kito sakde. I'll put enmity between the seed of man and the seed of the serpent. That was fulfilled in the cross. No. Far after thousands of years, many thousands of years. I didn't want to hunpin pangsatigam lakit hero. I didn't want to again pain cross to fulfill no. The fulfilled prophecies in the Bible. Few examples. The fall of Babylon was foretold. The fall of Egypt, the fall of Nineveh, the fall of Tyre and Sidon. All those are being foretold in advance. Kung bang kopi min thang tak tak nam min thang tak tak te kung nili kala sa kon game ko kin sabe. Hai gupta gama mi tom chikom laya ichidi ngai tele. Pakin Abraham kya nasuang kaya gupta gama kumzalia sao tak ni mo chibo kay Abraham kya wala ya Isaac pian le pian wala mo. Even Isaac was not born yet. Abraham doesn't have any descendants, but God told Abraham. Abraham could prophesy that, or God told Abraham that his generations will be in slavery, will be a bondage in Egypt for 400 years. It was already foretold, and did come into pass. The majesty of the Messiah manifested in prophecy fulfilled. More than 300 prophecies of Christ was fulfilled in details. More than 300 prophecies of Christ was fulfilled in details. Why should we believe in Christ? Only from this prophecy point of view. This is a very, very strong argument. Why you should believe in Christ? The life of Jesus was foretold thousands and thousands of years before his birth, which was fulfilled in details. If there is no prophecy of Christ, it will be very difficult to believe in Jesus. It may be difficult to believe in Jesus. Because Jesus was a man, like you and me. He was a man. He might be our neighbor at the time of Christ. He might be our neighbor. If he claimed himself to be the Son of God, would it not be difficult to believe him, that human being is the Son of God? It is hard to believe. But if we know the prophecy, how he will be born, what works will he do, all his works are also being foretold in the Bible. All his miracles, his death, his burial, his resurrection are all foretold in the Bible. Thousands of years before his birth. So from this prophecy point of view, we can be assured that Jesus of Nazareth was the Messiah which God foretold through the prophets. Even now, the Sabbatarians, some Judaism may not believe Jesus Christ. They still expect another Messiah to come. But it will not happen anymore. That Jesus of Nazareth was the prophet, or was the Messiah, which God had foretold. So from the prophetical point of view, it is easy to believe that Jesus is the Christ, that Jesus is the Son of God. And there are two case studies here. Two case studies, example, the fall of Jerusalem, as foretold by Micah, and number two, the doom of Assyria, as foretold by Nahum. Case study Yoma, Micah had foretold, Micah had prophesied that Jerusalem will fall in the hands of Babylon. At the time, people believed that, the public opinion is that even if Jerusalem fall, it will be under the hand of the Assyrians, who were the world powers of those days, the superpower of those days. But Micah, without any doubt, had foretold that Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, will fall in the hands of the Babylonians. So against the public opinion, against the belief of the people, when the time came, this Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, was taken over by the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar himself. That is a fulfillment. And about Nahum, Nahum had foretold the destruction of Assyria, the fall of Nineveh, which God spared during the time of Jonah, was being foretold again by Nahum that Assyria will fall again. There will be the end of Nineveh. That is what Nahum had foretold. Nahum did not simply tell that that the city of Nineveh will fall one day. It doesn't say that. Specifically, it states that the city of Nineveh will be destroyed by fire, will be destroyed by flood, will be destroyed because of drunkenness. The how? Okay. The process of destruction was also clearly stated by Nahum. It is the wonders. Hoy chulamdam na mo. Apuk di chilel helawang, apuk di dan ting lekha, cheng taka gen chen. It was fulfilled in details as being prophesied. Yay. Abana 7. Ito direkta. Porque está ahí, no. Give two example. At the fall of Jerusalem and the fall of Nineveh, it's a come on. So again, at least one or two sentences explain it in an on the way. Abana, okay, hati atwa Jesus Christ beside game from ebang lemo, in this fight, bahato head ilaka. Jesus Christ kung tanggen ko na tangkun na in this fight. For example, which Bible verse prophesies that Jesus will be born of a virgin? Jesus Christ numak seng home permit ito yan Isaiah 7:14. Nagsige mo. At kung dakpen naggen ito le ko ito kung bibek Bible changi Jesus will be born in Bethlehem ko ito Micah chapter 5 verse 2 nagsige mo. Ito na selektiwa Jesus Christ pendang kasom kuma 30 pieces of silver is of it. Kaya Bible sa again po. Zechariah 11:12. Yeah, no bones will be broken. Kaya Psalm 104:20. You can select any 5. Ang Bible sa ito nag-gil there. Mga mo din. Bible chẳng na kêu được cả 5 mark là cả half mark luôn thì nếu mà half mark là được half of 5. who have no video. My dad, two case study example mention two cases of fulfillment of prophecy. The fall of Jerusalem, the fall of Assyria, the fall of Nineveh. So they can explain it again. And number 7 in the influence of the Bible. The influence of the Bible. Well, a tree is known by its fruit. So by seeing the fruit, we can judge that the tree is good or bad. Likewise, we should believe the Bible because of its good influence. I influence tampi days ya back alalas begin party. Number 1, the influence of the Bible moral influence spread abroad. Moral influence spread abroad bang compose dali come on. Bible simjaka mi hoi lo tampi te mi hoi hong swaki chilal leo chang le ka poi fu no moral influence spread abroad chim na ka ai tampi di la mi hoi lo tampi te hin kwa bol hoi hi Bible na chi ka me hi. Number 2, human freedom advance. Human freedom advance. This is especially dealing with slavery. The Bible promotes freedom, human freedom. Abolishment of slavery. Abolish regulation of slavery. Human freedom advance.